Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where you come for your rambling geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host from across the pond. It's our resident refracted organism of the pod, DL.
I am very refracted, especially on the golf course.
On the golf
I'm
course?
refracted. My swing is refracted.
Oh, wow.
It refracts left or refracts right. Never goes straight. It's not as bad as my partner's, though. Have you seen that movie? I went golfing.
That movie, cool.
I went golfing.
That helps.
What's the one with the guys, like the bro friends, with not forgetting Sarah Marshall, but Jason Segel and...
you're talking about
friends?
I Love You, Man.
I Love You, Man.
Great film.
He takes him golfing.
Big fan
and
of
he
that.
goes, and it's like with the girls, and they bring their partners instead of just being two guys. And he's like one of them hits that ball and it's like hits him in the shin, and he's like, "This is my nightmare."
Oh,
So
yes. Yes. He takes you on like the blind date or whatever
Yeah,
with the friends.
something like that. I don't
That's
know.
so good.
And
I
this-
forgot about that.
Anyway, this is that's what I was imagining would happen when I took Gail golfing.
Uh-huh.
Instead, she just sucked.
She just sucked.
She didn't kill anyone. No, she had a
That's
couple.
unfortunate.
She had a couple. Well, we didn't golf. We just went to the drive range. She had a couple good hits, but she'd never been before. So good for never.
Oh,
Never
perfect.
having
Good
been.
for her for trying something new.
Yes. So I'm.
But you're a pro, obviously.
No.
You've got the outfit on right now.
No, I'm not.
This is like a full golfing.
I have to go for like an event for a work
Oh.
event. I'm like, God, I haven't been in like 5 years. I should.
Well, you
probably-
gotta play like a full 18
Yeah.
holes.
So I gotta like make sure I'm
Oof.
not, the worst.
You don't suck.
Like it's as long as you're not the worst. You know what I mean?
Literally right. So like I can swing a golf club. I'm fine. This is
Yeah.
a really random aside. I'm fine at golf. Like my swing is all right, whatever. And I probably hadn't played in 3 years, maybe 4.
Yeah.
And me and the partner, like as COVID was coming to an end and you could start traveling around New South Wales a bit more.
Yeah.
We went up to this really remote place in the Blue Mountains, and 3 of the lads were like, "We love golf. We're gonna go and play golf. You got to come with us." And I was like, "All right, I guess so." And they were like hyping each other up. Like 2 of them played every week, and one of them was like, "Yeah, like I'm really competitive." Blah blah blah.
I would never say that with golf. It's
Why
a
would you?
humbling,
Why
yeah.
would you? And I was just literally there. I was like, I haven't played in 3 years. I don't even know if I can hold a club anymore.
Yeah.
And I, like, without like tooting my own horn, had the best game of my entire life. Like we were playing doubles. So what you would do is, you would all 4 of you would tee off, and wherever the best ball landed,
I think that's what we're doing.
yeah, the other player would hit it. I don't know if that's how doubles
Yeah.
works in golf, but anyway,
Remember,
that's
it's like best ball. You play best ball.
play best ball, but
Yeah.
it's the other person who plays it. So if I tee off, I'm playing with you. I tee off, mine's the best ball. You take the next shot. And I was playing with one of the guys who played every week, and we absolutely destroyed them. And I felt so bad. I was like, I didn't realize I was going to play this well. Like this is all
Dude,
by accident.
Take it when you get it with
Oh,
that
big time.
game. Anyway, everyone's falling asleep
Oh,
now
completely. Yeah,
because
guys.
we just talked about golf.
If you don't want to hear us talk about golf and you want to skip around, there will be time codes in the description. Feel free to jump around. We've got a little bit of news coming up. We've got a bit of things we've been up to. And
Yeah, you should pass on the pod if you like it.
Do that
That's
too.
what they should do. If you like us talking
skip
about
around
golf,
and skip the pod to someone else.
Yes, yes. If you like golf, we don't usually talk about it. So
No, we
give
don't.
us a 5-star review and ignore that we did.
Give the 5-star review for all the times we didn't talk
Yeah,
about golf.
Agreed.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
We love when you do it. It's really easy. You can do it in app. Do it immediately.
in app.
DL, what have you been up to, buddy?
Other than that whole little golf tirade, which by the way, they played like techno music at the driving range.
Oh, that's cool.
which is very. I was not down.
Oh, all right.
I was like, this is like not the golf vibe I was looking for. There's like all these young kids
You
like
wanted, like, a chill
slamming
beer.
beers. I was like, Jesus, this isn't Top Golf. I just wanted to go to the range and try and get good again, distracted.
Get good.
Anyway, when I wasn't doing that, I was finishing Mando, and yeah,
Sucks.
wasn't.
I knew it.
it's just-
I knew it.
doesn't
You
suck.
called it.
No, it just started really strong, like, and then failed. This is a show that like
Spoilers for Mando, by the way.
Yeah,
we did
spoilers.
this last week and we didn't
this
say
is
that.
a show that like just isn't like they're obviously changing the format to try and expand the world
Sure.
and integrate Ahsoka and basically Marvelize it.
It wasn't Ahsoka, or was she in it?
No, but even like last season, she,
Yeah,
like,
sure.
you know what I mean? Like and the whole Boba Fett thing, like they're trying to create this world, and it's like the show.
That's a thumbs down, by the
The
way.
show suffered for it. Like they're not as good at like as doing it like as Marvel was, not really is, but was. And it's
Well,
it's just
that's cold.
it's just disjointed, man. And it's
Okay.
like it's okay, but it's like not uniform. And like it showed these great glimpses of at least like, oh, maybe they are creating this great, highbrow, like artistic archetype analysis with like Star Wars, like lore involved and history. And it just turned out it was like
Fell down.
they like teased that and then just did the normal stuff.
Oh, that sucks. Did they have a big like get together at the end?
Yeah, of course. I mean, cool. It was
I feel so justified in my YouTube
Beautiful.
video when I was just like, it could be really interesting, but they're just going to get together at the end and have a big shootout, right? It's
Yeah,
a
well,
Western
of
at the end of the
course.
day.
No, but the Western element of it is like the cool part. But that even like that's I guess one of my points. The first 2 seasons you had that vibe,
Yeah.
and it was like a Western. You fill in the gaps with your own emotions and thoughts, and like, it was really minimalist and like kind of Monster of the Week. But I liked it.
Yeah, it was different.
This was like that, but also trying to be this convoluted. It's like pick one.
Ah,
And now
see
I
what you
think they're
mean.
gonna get back to it in the future seasons because of the way it ended.
I see what you mean.
But
So tell me how it ends. Like full spoilers.
They
This
retake-
time. I'm never gonna watch it.
they retake Mandalore. They beat Moff Gideon. He
Moff Gideon
died.
comes back.
Yeah, thank God though, because like there was not a lot of personality in
Oh,
this.
really?
He's hamming it up.
I like that dude.
Yeah, he's good.
Giancarlo Esposito. He's like the bad guy in everything, like
He
Breaking
is
Bad.
pretty standard bad guy material.
He's
these
in a
days.
Far Cry game. He's in everything.
He always plays the same guy.
He always plays a bad guy too.
Well, actually, he's in superheroes, The Boys,
Is it? Yeah, of course.
and he's like different in that.
jeez, I like him in that.
Yeah, he was good.
I think did he? No, he's not dead, is he? Or is he dead?
I thought he died.
I can't.
I
actually
thought his
remember.
daughter
Season 3?
killed him.
Oh, maybe.
Didn't she?
I can't 100% remember. That's fun.
Yeah,
That's a things come back. I need to rewatch that.
yeah.
Well, I've done a few fun things this week.
What'd you do?
Well, all mine are movies, so I've not had time to invest in anything. I haven't even watched a new episode of goddamn Ted Lasso, which I'm obsessed with.
Hurry up and get to Yellow Jackets, bro.
I'm
No one,
trying.
no one else other than Gail watches it, and my brother and I. We never can talk about it at the same time.
Okay, I will get
So
there.
get
Trust
there.
me, we'll get there.
Anyway.
Plus, when the partner gets on it, we'll end up watching it all in like a
Yeah,
day.
well.
So I watched a couple of movies. I've actually got 3. I'm going to talk about 2 because they're both pretty. They're still. I'm still chipping away at that brownie points. By the way, one of them we watched was Puss in Boots, which is interesting because
The Ridge.
The Ridge. Now, interesting you say that because I was flicking through whatever it was, Netflix Stan, and I was like, oh my God, Puss in Boots is on here already. I was like, this has only just come out in the cinemas. Great. So I put it on, and my partner was like, I've seen this. I was like, we did not go to cinema to see this. And she was like, no.
It's like old.
Yeah, it's from 2011. I
Yeah.
didn't
Puss in
realize.
Boots. This is Puss in Boots 2.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was a second one. I realized the first one.
There's 2 boots, 2 pusses.
Good points.
movies.
All good points. It was fun. I quite enjoyed it. It was different. It's a Jack and a Beanstalk, etc., etc. Liked it.
Was it like Pixar funny?
Yeah.
You know how we just said
was
Mario?
Shrek
Shout
funny.
out to our. You get my point though. Same thing.
Oh yeah.
Like
So
adult funny. With
I was
kids
talking about
humor.
this with one of my friends in work today. Shout out Videsh. He was asking me whether he should take his kids to A, see Mario or B, see the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And I said, well, definitely don't take your kids to see the Guardians of the Galaxy
How old
movie.
are they?
They were 10 and below.
Yeah, there's some blood in that
There's
one.
some guts. There's some gore. And I said to him, definitely don't take kids to see Guardians of the Galaxy, but you're going to be bored in Mario. He was
Yeah.
like, what do you mean? I was like, well,
Yeah, it's just not. It's not all there.
it doesn't
None of
have that adult flavor, does
So,
it?
but Pussy Boots.
Pussy Boots.
Pussy Boots does.
It's got a few bits. Yeah, I enjoyed
Okay.
it. It had Salma Hayek in it as one of the.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly.
One
It
of,
was
one of the curvy cats.
liked that character. It was fun. I liked it. The other thing, the other one I was going to mention before we get into something actually good was we watched another kind of trash movie with Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson called The Hitman's Bodyguard. Have you heard about this one?
I have.
You'll
but
have seen trailers for
I
it.
don't recall.
Salma
much
Hayek's
of
in the
it.
sequel, The Hitman's Bodyguard's wife or something.
Okay.
Actually, she's in this too, but that's 2 Salma Hayek movies. How much fun.
You got a thing.
It's a bit nonsensical. Like, it's a bit dumb.
Mm-hmm.
The story is that Samuel Jackson is this, like, he's a hitman, right? It's in the title of the film.
The Hitman's Bodyguard. Yeah.
Roll credits.
Yeah.
And Ryan Reynolds is like he's like a high-ranking like bodyguard type. He used to have like a full crew around him. He was AAA or whatever he says he is.
Yeah.
And he got knocked down because one of his the people he's trying to take care of got killed on his watch. Anyway, he gets called in to effectively take this hitman who is in prison, and they're trying to bring him to a Geneva Convention to put this dude who's Gary Oldman in a really wild accent, trying to get him put away for basically war crimes. And it's all of Gary Oldman's like crew being this. I think he's Belarusian. I don't know if that's 100% right. he's like the head of state for like Belarus or something.
Vladislav Dukovic.
Yeah, and
Is
it's
his name?
terrible accent, and he's trying to kill Samuel L. Jackson before he gets
Vladislav?
to real bad, before he gets to the Hague to effectively put him away, and it's a bit of fun. Like, it's nonsense. It's not good. Tell us what the IMDb score is as you're already there.
6.9.
Oh wow, that's way higher than I expected.
Well, that's the Hitman's Bodyguard. Were you watching the wipes or the?
No, we watched the first one, so Hitman.
Yeah, so that is correct.
Hitman's Bodyguard. Ryan Reynolds, by the way, slight departure from normal Ryan Reynolds. He's a bit sad in this one. So it's the same, but he's a bit sad. You know, Ryan Reynolds does the same thing.
Isn't that like that sci-fi movie we just saw?
Oh my god, yeah, the
Adam,
one. Yeah, the Adam Project.
He's like himself, but a bit sad.
A bit sad. He's got 2 levels. himself but a bit sad. And both of them I enjoy.
Or just like full Deadpool.
A full Deadpool.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 levels. Okay.
Yeah.
Maximum effort, shall we say. What else have you been up to, buddy?
We watched the new episode of Yellow Jackets. Was good. I finished RE4. I'm on my second playthrough.
Oh, damn.
Had to do it.
You must be enjoying it.
Yeah, it's good. And then I watched there's a couple other things, like the Wild Wild Country, this documentary on Colts.
Okay.
Because I
like stuff like that.
First of all, so who doesn't? It's just so intriguing.
So interesting.
But so
fascinated by
maybe
weirdos.
just to like put without spoiling Yellow Jackets, because it's not really a spoiler. There's elements to it that like kind of feel culty.
Okay.
And like I was like, I have this kick now.
I want to know about this.
This cult kick. I can't join one. That's bad. But I'm gonna itch this scratch. You know?
Itch this scratch.
Scratch this itch. And so we watched Wild Wild West, and it's so far interesting. It's kind of weird. But
not the Will Smith version.
No.
Okay, cool. So there wasn't any rapping in it.
No, it's a documentary on a real live cult and a real live event that happened in Oregon or Utah or something.
Oh wow! Can you tell me anything about it?
It's so far I'm only an episode in. It was a little long, but it's like basically this nowhere town in the middle of America. Suddenly, like one of this nobody there. You know, it's a country town, and this guy just buys up. You know, he shows up with this eccentric outfit. Buys like 60 acres of land and says, "Oh, we're just going to create a farm commune."
Oh yeah, of course.
But apparently, something else happens.
Interesting.
That's all I know, because we're now kind of getting history on the guy. He's kind of like this like philosopher from India who just like had garnered this massive following.
Interesting.
Culty.
All the cults.
So I did that, and then I've been watching Gail play Harry Potter.
Oh yeah. How's she going?
It's looking exciting, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but she looks ridiculous.
Oh, man. They look so... Oh,
you were telling me this.
Tip for her. You
can transform it.
You can change.
Yeah.
So if you open the menu and you... before you click into literally change what the item is.
Yeah.
If you just hover over whatever you have on, you can click a button. I can't remember what it is, like R1 or something. And you can change the appearance of what you have on. So put on the best thing you can possibly get and then just change it. My guy looked badass at the end. He was like... He looked like a Death Eater or something. He was
so
sick.
like, what's the point of having them all look different?
I think it's until you realize that you've got to look wild.
She literally looks absurd. She's like
somebody outfits.
She looks like a middle-aged like gardener with like a boy cap, like an Oliver Twist boy cap.
Oh, good.
With like sunglasses that are like multicolored. It's wild.
Oh,
she just looks crazy.
Yeah,
I was like, you literally like, why would anyone talk to you? You would have zero friends. All these people talking to you would be like, avoid.
You know what it's like? It's your custom character in a cutscene.
Bro, I hate to make the joke, but her character looks like Columbine Kid. Like I would not go near that kid, dude. Anyway,
it's a fun game.
I do want to play it, and it's looking fun. Minus that, like the combat looks really fun.
Well, now you know about that trick. You can change your stuff, but you have
kind of feel like I'm not gonna tell her.
Yeah, don't.
It's funnier if she just looks ridiculous.
You should play her new game plus, so you have all of the things she's unlocked, so you can change it to whatever you want. Because you have to unlock things first.
But isn't that the fun?
Kinda.
Yeah. So like.
But you can play new game plus and just start over and do all of it.
And unlock things.
And unlock new things. Because I bet you do way more exploration than she does. I bet she's just like...
She has no idea what she's
doing. Exactly. I bet you'd be like... In the first 2 hours, as soon as I got outside of the castle, I went to the top right-hand corner of the map.
Yeah. Just to do it.
Yeah. I was like, all right, I can do this.
Aren't you going to die?
No, I was annoyed because an hour, maybe 2 hours later, I got a broom and I could just literally go anywhere. I was like, I really needed that.
Yeah, dude. Gail literally spent the first 15 hours playing this game in the halls of Hogwarts.
Oh my
I
God.
was like, surely just going
15
just going like
hours.
Revelio, Revelio, Revelio.
Oh,
I was just
wow.
like, God, can you do something? Like, surely there's more to this game. Anyway, so that's what she's been doing, and then I did watch the first half of Bill Burr's live at Red Rocks.
Oh, yeah,
comedy
I've
special.
seen
It
that
looks
one.
good so far.
I've seen that one. It's
How
pretty
about
fun.
anything else from your
Yeah,
end?
final one is I got super excited last week. We talked about the Dune trailer. There's a brand
Yes.
new one out. It looks great.
There's another one.
There's I think there's a second one that's
I
coming
don't
out
want to
soon.
watch anymore. I wanted to show up.
Well, we ended up rewatching the first movie, and I feel like I must have missed a lot of that at your house because I don't remember half of this shit. But it was 2 years ago. It was
Yeah, I
middle
kind of felt the
COVID.
same. There was a couple of minutes where I was like, was I just
Yeah.
stony? Like, what did I?
But then at the same time as well, if I remember, I probably took like 6 like antihistamines.
Yeah, you were
because your
trying to-
cat was
yeah,
there.
you
I was
were trying-
probably like tripping.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so good, and
Yeah,
I
it is.
forgot just how intricate the plot is and how well they've adapted the book, the source
Yeah.
material.
There's a
right?
couple things where I'm like, oh, it would have been perfect if he just did this. And it's like hard.
Yeah.
It's not really nitpicks. It's like it's big enough where I'm like, fuck, I wish he did. Because you only get one shot.
Yeah.
With
Well, you talked about the Bene Gesserit stuff. You
yeah.
like more of
Well,
that.
well, I think they'll do more of that. I'm talking mainly the like whole husband storyline.
Sure.
I feel like they left a lot.
He
on the,
wasn't in there a lot. Yeah.
No, I feel like they left a lot on the floor for that.
Talking of Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac, but also with his mistress and like why that was a dynamic. Because like they talk what we've talked about in our Dune episode, but
Yeah.
that
Go
was
check
the
out our
only
Dune
point
episode.
that I was like, fuck, I wish he nailed that. But everything else is like spot on.
I did love that character as well, though. And like
Yeah.
even in the books, I felt that strong. Duke Leto.
Duke Leto.
Duke
Leto.
Leto. Hey, Duke. The Duke.
I
I
think it would
really
be
like that
Leto.
character.
Yeah.
He was like fascinating. He knew walking into a trap and little things like
It's
that.
like, there's a magnetism to the character.
yeah, totally. And I think Oscar Isaac's kind of the perfect person to play that.
Yeah, and also other crazy characters as today's topic
Of
will be
course. Well, we've talked
discussed.
about him a lot on this podcast,
Yeah,
like a
that's fair.
lot. Do you remember who's the Ex Machina? What a movie that was.
Yeah, I mean he's just a man of many
And
shades.
many talents. And every time I see him, like he's got like, even if he just like shaves his beard different, like he looks like a new person.
He does. He doesn't look like the same guy in Ex Machina that he is
Not
in
at all.
this. Or
He's got a very moldable, adaptable face. I'd say.
yeah, and very good hair.
Oh, amazing hair
Yeah.
in everything. You know what? When he starts getting flecked with a little bit of grey, especially in Dune,
Yeah, well,
Oh my
like,
God,
did they
it's
do that on
sexy.
purpose?
don't know, but it's so goddamn sexy.
It is. It's good.
I wonder what he looks like now. I wonder if he's gone full Taika Waititi and gone like pretty much white. Similar like color hair, to be fair, to begin with.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I just pulled it up. Oscar Isaac.
What's
hair,
he looking? What's he looking like now?
20. I mean, it's not all white, but it's good.
Oh man, stop it. Silver
It's
Fox.
good. Silver Fox. Yeah.
Silver Fox in it, baby. All right, what we do
Okay.
now is we like to talk a little bit about the news and dumb stuff we've heard during the week. It's not really news, it's just stuff we see on Instagram most of the time. And we like to call it Have You Heard? DL, have you heard this week they released a new trailer for the Meg 2? Now, I'd forgotten the Meg
Joy.
1 happened.
I hadn't. Gail made me go to that one. Is it still Jason Statham?
It's still Jason Statham. I don't know who any of the characters were in the
So-
original, so who knows?
So we're buying this. We're buying what they're selling.
Well, apparently.
Not only 65 million years went by, we missed one massive shark.
Exactly.
We missed two.
Could be the same one. Did the first one die? Did it not survive the
yeah,
original?
I'm pretty sure it's.
I'm sorry, and spoilers for the Meg
I'm
1.
pretty sure it
A film I've
explodes.
not seen. I think there are 2 Megs in that.
I don't think so.
I think there's a second Meg at the end. You fell asleep
Or
for
maybe
sure.
I didn't stay for the post-credit scene.
No, I mean, as in like the final like big thing was like, I'm sure there were 2 Megs in it. Maybe I'm wrong.
Have you seen it?
If anyone's seen the Meg out there
I'm
at
pretty
all,
sure they just blow it up.
let
and
us
it's like this
know.
big tuna explosion.
oh, that's fun. I mean, not fun, but
Well,
the trailer looks dumb fun anyway. Like it's chasing him up like a pier and chomping at the pier. It's very like the opposite of what Jaws ever
like
was.
Pac-Man.
Megala Pac-Man.
Except Jason Stamos is like a little.
Pacalodon. There you go. That's what we'll
Ghosty.
call it.
How
How is he? How? And actually, one of the friends of the show made this point to me, and they might bring it up next week. But how on earth is he supposed to be an alcoholic and still be that ripped? Like it's incredible, like
Is he
impossible.
supposed to be an alcoholic in that movie?
Yeah,
God, I don't remember that movie at all.
clearly.
Yeah, I mean,
I know more
don't
about it than
think
you do.
There's a lot of, I think it's just like believability is an all-time low when you watch a movie called The
Well,
Meg.
yeah, I was
So
gonna say, The Meg.
I don't know if they considered that. Yeah,
Would you watch The Meg even for
I don't want to. No,
no?
you want to do it
Even
for
for
the
content?
There's better
I don't do it
shit.
for the. I don't do it for the podcast.
I think
do it
it's
for
just
a
like
video.
not dumb enough to do for the podcast. Like I want to go full dumb or I want to go full highbrow. I don't like an in between. I don't like an Aquaman.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
hard to talk about, man.
Yeah.
Real hard to talk about. All right, what else have you been up to? What else have you heard? Did you hear this week Andor season 2 DL will apparently focus on the 3 days
I did see
before the events of Rogue One?
I did see this, which is an interesting.
Yeah.
So like, is this the end?
Well, they said he only really wanted to do like 2 or 3 seasons, but I mean, they could stretch it out as long as they wanted, let's be honest.
That's
As
pretty
long as he
crazy.
still looks young
It's pretty
enough.
wild to me though that like, well, no, if it's the 3 days before Rogue One, spoilers for Rogue One, they all die.
Oh,
So
what I'm saying is though,
so
you
like
don't
they're
know
not going to do another season.
Did you
like,
know
oh,
exactly
they're gonna
where
do
he
another
was?
season? They're 2 days before, like, and another one for the 3rd day. Like that'd be ridiculous.
Look, it would take a long time to build a Death Star, right? Like, it's not going to happen overnight. So they could say it's a couple of years between the first series and actually the events of Rogue One.
No, because you just said. Wait, did I mishear this? It's taking place. Oh, you're saying so he's just not going to be in it?
No, he is. No, I'm saying that this new season is going to be those 3 days. What I'm saying is
Yes.
they could have stretched this out a bit. They didn't have to go second season.
I agree. They should have. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why didn't
I'm
they?
agreeing with you.
It's a
We
bummer.
were agreeing with each other, just you're not really listening.
No, I didn't understand your point. You're like, they could extend it. I was like, well, how are they going to extend it? He dies in Rogue One.
He's gonna.
It's just like, what do you mean? It's 3 days before.
He's a clone. They've got clones in the Star Wars universe now.
It is a bummer.
Bring him back, baby.
It is a bummer that they're doing that. That kind of implies that it's only 2 seasons, right?
Perhaps he said he didn't want to do a lot of it. To be fair,
Well, maybe they'll do more of the. Well, no, they can't because
Well,
it's Andor.
everyone else
Cassian
dies.
Andor
Yeah,
is
exactly.
his name. Like the show is his name.
Unless his sister takes over the role.
Sus.
Sus. Yeah, big. I mean, big sus.
I am bummed, but also it will be good. So
I mean, if it's anything like the first season, surely it will be.
Yeah.
I mean, they tried with the Mandalorian, like you said last week, but such is life. What do you had, DL?
yeah, I that's all I had. I actually had that piece of news, and then there was something else about like the writer's strike or something or other.
We'll talk about that in a minute, but
yeah.
there is one bit of news before we talk about that, and I want to know your thoughts on this.
Let's hear it.
You remember we did our episode on Mortal Kombat? Like I think it was the first film we saw during lockdown
Yes.
that was new, a net new film, something we could
Net
watch that was
new.
brand new, and we talked about it in depth. We even did the original one before it. But apparently the second one is in the works, and now I think this is wild speculation. I don't think it's going to happen, but apparently Karl Urban, favorite of the show from Lord of the Rings, from The Boys, Star Trek, pick a movie franchise, he's pretty much done them all by this point.
Yep.
He's apparently in final talks to play Johnny Cage. Now Johnny Cage,
Is
as
he
you know,
supposed to be American?
yeah, from the games he's like over the hill movie, like martial arts movie actor.
Yeah.
Who's, I don't know why he's brought into Mortal Kombat, to be frank with you. There's probably deep lore that I'm butchering. But, like, I think he's got a charisma, but I don't see him as that slick. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Johnny Cage is very, like, just from my memories of Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, I feel like he's very, like, slick and very, like, big smile American. Like, one of his fatalities or friendalities, whatever they call him, is, like, he just, like, signs a picture of himself and throws it at them or some shit.
Wow.
I don't feel like that's Karl Urban.
No, well, also his accent. Does he have a good American accent?
I mean, he does pretty good accents. Like he was,
Okay.
I think he was English in Star Trek, and I didn't. Well, he's got an English accent in bloody Lord of the Rings, and I never didn't knew he was Kiwi.
I didn't know he was Kiwi until this
Well,
moment. I
now
thought he
you
was
do.
also- Okay, fair
I
enough.
assume.
All right, let's see it.
What do you
Let's see it.
reckon? I think he's too gritty. He's not like.
Well, I mean, you don't want it to be. I mean, I don't know. I think that it just kind of depends, right? Like, it's not that big of a character. So as long as he just brings something to it.
I just hope they do an actual Mortal Kombat in this film. Like the last one, they didn't actually do a Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, they did.
No, they didn't. The Mortal Kombat, the competition. No.
No, the beginning.
What happened at the beginning?
Wasn't there like a Mortal Kombat in the beginning?
I don't think so. Not the recent film.
No.
Don't you remember it was all about that new guy, the one who had the like things
Sub-Zero?
wrapped around his hands? No, yeah, well, they had Sub-Zero's backstory in Scorpion's original backstory.
Oh, you're right. It had that other guy, but I thought they did a Mortal Kombat
No,
in
I
the
thought they
like
just-
right at like when they were all training and they were at the
No.
temple of some kind.
they were just training to stop them invading the
Yes.
world,
But a bunch of people died.
saving the world. Yeah, not Mortal Kombating.
Mm.
I think you're thinking of the original 1998 film,
which
is real
multiple
bad.
Mortal Kombat's.
Oh yeah, there's like 3.
Yeah.
It's bad, real bad. I'm glad you should be glad I didn't make you watch the other ones because the first one's bad enough.
I have seen the first one before, so I
we
was
did
down.
it for the
No, I know,
podcast.
but even before that, I was
right.
down to rewatch it because as a kid, I was like, I thought this was good.
Oh no!
Let me evaluate my taste.
A lot of things I watched as a kid that I thought were good really weren't that good.
Yeah, no.
Saying that, we've talked about the movies that I grew up with. There's like 4 or 5 minimum that were just like we had on videotape and we watched on repeat.
It is the way. If you have it on VHS, you know.
Yeah, you've got to
do it.
So let's talk then, DL. There's been a bit of fallout this week, and have you heard? You have heard because we talked about it last week. There's been a lot of fallout from the writers' strike. Now,
yes,
doing a little bit of digging, reading up on this a little bit. It does seem like, and I know I don't know the whole story, but it does seem like they're just asking for like a fair living wage. Like I know we talked about it last week, but like there are stories coming out like there are obviously writers who are doing pretty well.
I have no idea. Yeah,
but they're like horror stories are coming out. Like one of the writers of that, that Beef TV show, the one that's huge at the moment.
Beef?
It's huge at the moment. Everyone's talking about it.
No.
Anyway, it's a viral thing.
Apparently, one of the reality show.
No, it's a show. It was either one of the writers of that or one of the writers of something else. Like, literally couldn't afford to go to an award show to pick up his award for that TV show. Like, they just didn't pay him enough for his work. And things like streaming are making it significantly harder. And they're trying to make it so they're getting paid basically for the day's work rather than the longevity of their work. It's fucked, man. Anyway, I'm not going to get too deep into it. But some of the things, we've got a list. Some of the things that have officially been affected by the strike. Let's go through these. I don't know all these, by the way. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, a Hedge Knight. Don't know. Check it out. Big Mouth. Do you know Big Mouth on Netflix? Is it? Is that what that one is?
Yeah.
Well, that one's been affected. Big Mouth has. Blade has. Cobra Kai has. Hacks. All the late night talk shows. Severance. I think that must be season 2. Stranger Things. Yellow Jackets has been affected, DL.
No, pay them.
Exactly. The Blade upcoming Marvel movie has been affected. And finally, the Daredevil Born Again TV show has been affected by it. So it's everything. And I think we're going to talk a bit more about it, a little bit more detail next week when we might have a special guest. But
feels like it's time to catch up on my old shows, I guess.
It might be time.
New ones.
But like I said to you like previously, the last writer strike in 2008, I think it was, did not end well for movies in general.
Who won?
Well, I guess the writers got a pay increase of some description because they came back to work, but
they didn't scab it. Somebody scabbed it. Isn't that what they call them when they come back? Scab.
Did they?
I think that's like from a show I saw. People, when you break the, the strike,
you break the line.
And some people go back and they're like, yeah, I'm going.
My brother's a teacher in the UK, and a lot of teachers are striking at the moment. And like, fair. They don't get paid well at all. And it's a shit show, basically.
No, yeah, that's the dumbest thing ever.
But they're all in different.
Teachers so little, and they're like so integral to the future. It's crazy. Dumb.
And doctors, people who actually make sense to pay well.
Yeah,
like writers, we need this. We need the entertainment to stop ourselves thinking about our actual jobs.
Yeah,
It's gonna suck, man. It's gonna suck for a while. I think a lot of TV coming. Like I think everything for the next maybe 6 to maybe 9 months should be all right because it's already been written, obviously. Yeah. But after that, like writers do so much that you don't even realize. Like sometimes they are on set, and when stuff needs changing on the fly, like let's say like a line isn't quite working, they'll help update it. They'll write a new one or whatever. Like they do a lot more than we think they do, and it's crazy to think that someone like I don't know. We talk about David Zaslav a lot, the guy who runs Warner Brothers now, gets paid like $30 million a year. It's like, come on, mate. What do you really do? Like, what's your actual job? Like, you do nothing. You just tell people to cut costs.
Yeah. I hear you. I think that the writers' strike will hopefully not delay all the Marvel stuff because they've already
we might have
they're already fucked. If that, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm going to pose a question for you now that I want you to ruminate on. We'll come back to you next week.
Yeah.
Could it be a blessing in disguise for Marvel? Like, let's be frank. It's been a bit shocking. It's been a bit all over the place. Like, it's not perfect in terms of the the writing or the direction it's going.
So how's it going to benefit?
Could taking a step back, stopping things for a minute, not like, actually saying like, while the writers are striking, we're not going to do any more work. Like Blade, they're clearly taking a break with it. Like Daredevil, giving them time, especially people like Kevin Feige, to, maybe get his ducks in a line. Could that help the MCU? Don't react to that. We'll talk about that more next week, because I'd love to know your thoughts in more detail.
Okay.
Look, guys, if there's anything we haven't talked about, I know a lot of I actually haven't seen a lot of things this week, so a lot of it was the fallout from this riot strike. Let us know. Hit us up at Podcast Assemble or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. Send us a meme. Tag us.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. I love it when you guys do.
Yeah. Share it. Do it.
Give it all over. All right, guys. DL, do you want to preface our main topic this week?
Our main topic this week is actually the first movie, which is ironic, that my partner and I watched together.
Wow.
Or one of the first.
Not ironic, weird.
No, it's ironic because I had no idea what it was going to be.
Okay.
I saw it on Netflix, was like, this looks cool. And it's ironic because like she'd never watch this with me now.
Oh, not a chance.
Not a chance. It'd have to be like major veto week or whatever the hell. But she like gladly did it. It was super cool. And it goes to show, first 3 months of the relationship, you can get away with anything. Get away with like,
people are flexible.
What's the? There's a Aussie comedian. I forget his name. Jeffrey something, or Jeff something. He has the gun skip, but he's like
Jim Jeffries.
Yeah, Jim Jeffries. Like every girl can pretend she's not crazy for 3 months. Oh, you want to watch Star Wars? Awesome.
I want to watch Star Wars.
Yeah. It's a great joke. Anyway, there's truth to that. Because we watched Annihilation.
So we are back to our sci-fi anthology. There are so many great sci-fi movies, and I was excited to talk. You know what? This has been on my list for so long.
I'm surprised you haven't seen it.
It kind of fell into the bucket, and we've talked about this so many times. I've got a bucket of movies, which I call airplane movies, right?
Okay.
So it's a movie that I do want to watch, but I just don't have the headspace or the time to do, and it ends up being something that I will wait until I'm I'm forced to be on an airplane for a long amount of time and have all the time to just watch stuff. So it kind of fell into that bucket a little bit for me. I was a bit like, I'll get round to it when I'm in that kind of space. Yeah. And I'm surprised because it's not really an airplane. There are two types of airplane movies. I'm gonna go back on what I've always said. There's those type of movies, and there's always the ones that you love and you want to rewatch.
And you just rewatch. Yeah.
I seem to always end up watching Into the Spider-Verse on an airplane for some reason. Because it's a fucking great movie. I can't wait to talk about the sequel. But yeah, this is our sci-fi anthology coming back, baby.
And it's not really an airplane movie. I would say. It's like more like you want to watch it when it's on a nice screen. Kind of, it's a bit heady anyway.
Oh, totally. You said it's Annihilation 2018, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Annihilation 2018. I didn't say the year, but also I struggled to spell Annihilation.
Yeah, me too.
Like, can you spell it now? Don't look.
Spell it now. Don't look. I've texted you it so many times. Annili. No, hang on. Wait. Annihilation. Yes. I've texted you it so many times. I'm used to it now. Yeah, I know. I didn't realize there were so many N's in it.
Dude, I couldn't even get autocorrect to fix it for me. I struggled so bad. I was like, surely autocorrect. I'm closer now. I'd like edit one letter like at a time. I'd press. I'd be like, fuck.
Is the double N? I'm telling
Where's the AI when I need it?
Yeah. Do you have a stupid plot summary for this?
Yeah, I do. Beautiful, dangerous chaos.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, very artsy.
Very artsy of you. Yeah. All right. Mine is very different. Like the Age of Ultron, this is less Annihilation and more just a weird occurrence.
What is the Age of Ultron?
The movie Age of Ultron.
Yeah. Oh.
It's over like 2 days.
Yes. It's not an age.
It's not really an age, is it?
It's not an age.
Although the comics are. Anyway,
sorry, I'm slow.
Do you want to guess for me? Let's talk critical scores here. Like at the moment, what do you think the IMDb score is for this?
7, 8.
Oh, you're very, very nice to this movie. It's 6.8.
Really?
Yeah.
It got good ratings, I thought, when it came out.
I've listened to a bunch of analysis on it. Not a bunch of analysis. I listened to one person talk about it, and they were like, "It's amazing." I was like, "All right."
Yeah, I thought a lot of people liked it.
All right, well, tell me the Rotten Tomatoes score.
88.
It's 88.
88.
Bang on the money. Ding, 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 it had to happen eventually.
Yeah, even a blind squirrel finds a nut sometimes.
I think one day you're gonna get all 3 right, and it's gonna be like, dude, I'm just gonna quit. I'm gonna walk out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or what do you think the Metacritic score is?
62.
It's 79. And I'm not surprised by that, because I think this is I think a lot of people like this, like you said, when it came out. And this would definitely appeal to critics. Definitely. I actually watched a really interesting piece about the different, why critic scores and audience scores in a lot of recent movies have been so wildly different. So for example, for example, the John Wick movies like had really low critical scores but really high audience scores, and like it's rare that both critics and audiences like agree on things these days, and that's weird because you'd think the critics should be listening to critics for them to be like, and you go, oh, this is someone I trust.
Want them to push to new things, I think, generally, execute
other
things extremely well.
They do, absolutely. And I think that's part of the point of the video. I'll link it, but I can't remember exactly who it is. But this is, of course, director Alex Garland, and I mentioned Ex Machina before. He's the director for that, and this is a cool cast, man. It's got Natalie Portman, it's got Oscar Isaac, it's got Benedict Wong, the absolute dream. It's got Jennifer Jason Leigh. It's got Tessa Thompson. It's a fun cast. It's a lot of people who I was like, oh, when you're like, oh, I recognize that person.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of that.
A lot of like, like we'll talk about it. Dr. Ventress, the Jason Leigh, Jennifer Jason Leigh. I was like, for the whole time, I was like, who is
I still don't know what she's from. What is she from?
She's in something. It's annoying me.
Yeah,
It'll be like a TV person or whatever.
Anyway, it's oh, you know who it is?
Who is it?
Westworld.
Yeah, of course it is.
Benedict Wong's name is Lomax
Wong.
Why would they give him a Madonna name?
I don't know.
Lomax. It's so weird.
It's a little bit rogue.
Yeah.
But such is the whole movie. So it's based on a book series, if I'm not incorrect. But interestingly, director Alex Garland didn't use the book series as direct reference. He decided to make the movie based on like his memory of the book series, which is really interesting. It's kind of more Lovecraftian, I'd say.
It's definitely more like inspired by is what I've read.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which
I kind of like for a movie like this. Kind of makes sense. It's a heady movie. It doesn't have to be
so
exact.
heady. Well, talk to me then. Talk to me about the top level plot. What goes on in this bloody thing?
So we follow
Lena.
Yeah, Lena. I should have known. Natalie Portman, character, in her investigation of a supernatural, unexplainable scientific event.
Well, we find out early on it's from the outer space.
Yeah, we do find. I guess it's from extraterrestrial, supersonic event, where we basically have a comet of some kind or some kind of entity crash into the atmosphere and create basically what is called the shimmer. And it's this expanding orb that is slowly expanding across, not really orb, I guess it's more like a wall.
It's not to be confused with the thing from Shadow and Bone.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
It's way different. It's effectively like, how would you even describe it?
It's like it's an expanding like wall that is distorting the vision. If you're looking at the outside,
it's distorting everything.
It's just we don't know that when we start, but it's distorting the view. Everything. People go in, you can't contact people when they go in. They've sent a bunch of teams in. No one's come back. No one's come back. And because
they're effectively trying to find out what's at the center of this phenomenon, right?
Yes.
See if they can reverse it or stop it or whatever.
100%. That was a much better explanation. Long day. And the reason Natalie goes in is because her husband is a special forces officer, Kane, and he was one of the first people to, I guess, volunteer to go in.
Well, you find out actually that there's been multiple teams go in and none of them have come out. We'll talk about that, but he is the only person to this point who has come back from the shimmer.
Yes.
Which is fascinating and interesting on itself, and we'll get into that as we go through. But so the movie effectively starts with an interrogation almost of
it's a time cut.
Yeah, they've effectively done this non-linear narrative, which I think kind of works for this film.
I think it worked.
It's not too bad. It's certainly
if you didn't do that, it would have been very boring.
It would have been,
I think for long periods.
I mean, it wasn't not boring.
I just think, imagine you didn't have those like cut-ins where you're learning more about what happened in between.
The expository dialogue. Yeah, okay, cool. Give me more exposition.
No, but I think it's not about exposition. It was like asking intriguing questions that the viewer would then ask themselves about the next scene. Otherwise, you're just seeing them explore.
Effectively, this jumping back and forward, it kind of dictates the plot to you. Instead of you just having to think like, why on earth would they go there? It's like Benedict Wong is effectively interrogating Natalie Portman's Lena, and sort of that sort of leads where the plot takes you. And it's super interesting because it starts with her in her day-to-day life. She's a professor, ex-military. We're going to come back to ex-military in a moment. I'm not convinced by that, but her husband's been gone for a year. There's a lot of stuff happening around her, and she's decided to sort of repaint their bedroom. And as she's doing it, her husband, who is Oscar Isaac, by the way, comes back, but he's not quite Oscar Isaac, and then he starts to sort of fail, shall we say.
Well, he's just very, very distant.
Yeah, and doesn't really remember his wife.
Doesn't remember his wife. Doesn't remember why they're there. Is like kind of like he's on shrooms.
Yes.
He's just talking to her like he's on shrooms. Basically saying things like, what does it matter?
Yeah.
And what is life? And I don't know.
And this isn't even the actual plot of the fucking movie.
Yeah, this is a start.
Like,
sorry. So
this is just the start.
So we kick it off and we get that.
Yeah.
He suddenly is bleeding, goes into anaphylactic shock, all sorts of shit.
They get abducted by the military.
Get an ambulance to take them back. And on the way to the hospital, randomly the military abducts him.
Exactly. And they get taken to the shimmer, effectively.
They get taken to the shimmer, which was my poor explanation earlier. And we get informed of this.
It's hard to explain what it is.
Yeah, we get informed of all the backstory of this extraterrestrial, extra supernatural event of the shimmer expanding.
Ambiguous.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's expanding, and they're trying to figure it out, and they can't figure it out, and they're getting desperate.
So I'm going to say, like, straight up on this.
Yeah.
I'm flip-flopping as to whether I actually like this movie. Like, not like, but it's obviously interesting, it's deep, it's got a lot of tones and themes, which I dig. I like that. But it was really, really slow.
I don't think so.
And it just
I think the ending is very weird.
Yeah.
If you didn't have the ending, would you still feel the same way?
I actually, the ending was one of the strongest parts of it. I found it real interesting.
That was the slowest part.
I think all right. We're not going to talk about the ending yet, but the intimacy of the ending to me really made this movie. I thought they had some real heady ideas.
I loved it too.
And this is not calculable. This is not like based on any objective thing. This is just me being like, little things in this movie took me out. So, for example, Natalie Portman's supposed to be ex-military, right? And she doesn't know how to hold a gun. Like, she's holding the gun as if she's never touched one before. Like,
I didn't get that vibe. I thought she looked confident with it.
She looked confident. That doesn't mean she knew how to use it. And I feel like, don't get me wrong, you can yada yada.
She's the only one that killed anything.
Yeah, but you can yada yada, like, maybe she had to practice or whatever, but like, just little things. And I said nothing about her performance. I thought she was great in this. But she just didn't put little things like that. I was like, yeah, right, cool. Like, it just took me out. I
didn't get the vibe that she didn't know how to use a gun. I actually thought she looked like she did. But I guess the point
it's just the perception I had at the time.
The point I would make is you're allowed your perception.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that.
It might have just been in your headspace for the movie because I
absolutely could have been.
I thought you'd like this movie, and I thought it was pretty action filled up until the last 30 minutes. Like, if you think about it, like, and I don't want to just jump straight up, but they're being hunted by all sorts of crazy animals.
Well, they think they are. It's like almost paranoia.
Well, there's this paranoia of like what's happening to them while they're in the and I guess is that spoilers?
We're talking full spoilers here.
Okay. So what we find out slowly, probably within the first 45 minutes of the movie, because Natalie Portman's analyzing her blood when they go into the shimmer. They start to realize that there's weird.
Whenever you say the shimmer, my brain goes, the shimmer.
Yeah, it's like
get little jazz hands.
They start to, dude. Nothing wrong. It is a kind of a dumb name, the shimmer.
Super dumb name. What's it called in Shadow and Bone?
The Shadow.
The Fold.
The Fold.
Bleh. Worse. Way worse.
Yeah, I agree.
I prefer the shimmer.
I'll
put you off your stride now, haven't I?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what I was going to say. Anyway, we should say they go. She goes in willingly to go because her husband's on life support, and she's trying to figure out like
if something in there can save him.
It can save him or face it, or it's very unclear. She basically is, I think, probably chalked him up for dead, and is like, why would he have accepted this mission? I need to go investigate. It's almost like going into the shimmer as an investigation of her life, and like she just. And her relationship with her husband and herself.
And we're going to talk about that.
And that's more of a tone theme thing. But my point is, every single person in this group goes in knowing it's most likely a death mission.
Absolutely. And they all have their own individual motivations for going in, which I do feel is a little bit like forced into this. Like, fair enough. Like, I get why they put it that way. I
don't think it's forced at all. Who would go into that thing unless you did have...
You'd be ordered to go in. Like the military. They're just ordered you to go in. You'd have to. It's orders.
Yeah, but they're trying to like figure out new things. They're like, we need like people that can study this shit that are scientists.
Have people who can.
We need
have
people.
Scientists,
We need women.
They do. Yeah.
All the men keep dying.
They do. Let's try women. The thing that I did feel a bit and I'm probably being a bit overboard here with my like critical analysis. I felt it was a little bit forced, the infidelity angle between Natalie Portman and Oscar Isaac's Kane. Like, to me, like, and I get it, and that's the reason why she went in. She wanted to effectively face that and see if she could redeem herself for what like her. But at the time, I think you know what it was. I think it was the way it was sequenced. Like at the beginning, they looked so happy together, and they were like so in love. And I get you're supposed to work it out as you go, but I feel like I need to watch this movie 3 more times to really have any real bearing on it.
I enjoyed it on a rewatch because I had seen it before.
Yeah, okay.
So it was like knowing some of the things I knew, I enjoyed it more.
Captain Hindsight.
Yeah, for sure.
He's back.
No, I think like knowing the ending adds value.
Yeah, for sure.
I
I can see it actually. But let's talk about the stakes just for a minute then. Like the stakes in this, they're kind of subtly high. Like the shimmer's quite small when you're introduced to this thing. That's kind of like a living organism, to be fair. But it's expanding and quickly, so it could take over the whole goddamn world.
Yeah, well, theoretically, and they're worried about it, and they're trying to figure it. Like, I think they're at the point where they're throwing anybody in to go figure it out.
Giving it a go, yeah.
And
so they enter, right?
So they enter, and they quickly identify the fact that she's a biologist. We got like a psychologist, a biologist, and a physicist, and a paramedic.
Yeah, paramedic for some reason.
Kind of random.
I mean, it's actually fair. Like, imagine if one of them got injured.
True.
Kind of helpful.
Yeah.
Good thinking, guys.
So very good thinking.
So we've got Lena, we've got Jennifer, who's the paramedic, we've got Dr. Ventress, we've got Anya Torrenson, we've got Cass, and we've got Jesse Radek, who is Tessa Thompson's character.
Yep.
Now, Tessa Thompson, let's talk about performances then. I love the way you segued there, DL. She's like a grad student. And she looks 35. I was like, she's trying to play this like meek. I know, but she's trying to play like a 19-year-old, and I'm like, no, stop it.
A grad student isn't necessarily like.
And in Captain Hindsight, yeah, I get it. Yeah, like probably not, but I felt like the way she was like portraying this like hunched up little like wallflower. I was like, you're not 19, mate. We all know you're 35.
I just, Tommy, I gotta disagree with you on that. I think we're gonna conflict this episode.
Great, perfect.
The reality is like most grad students are 28 to 35,
probably
in med school to be a physicist, and they are probably pretty introspective.
I
thought the casting was good.
My thought on her, when she was introduced, I thought she was supposed to be like one of these child prodigies. That's why they were like excited to have her there. Like she did everything by the age of 10. You know what I mean? But then maybe that's me.
They probably wouldn't throw them into the thing and just die. They'd be like, figure out why it's this way. Go like give them the analysis. But
they've all got their own demons, right? So like Ventress has got cancer.
We find that out
Gina's
later.
An alcoholic. Yeah, these are things you find out as you go through. Gina's an alcoholic. Cass Shepard lost a child, and Tessa Thompson's 35. They've all got their demons, right? So it's an interesting dynamic between them all, and they're all sort of. None of them really want to open up to each other, but at the same time, they need each other. And then weird shit starts happening around them. And it's like, it's really interesting.
And so you're watching them deal with their own shit while also dealing with like this stressor of an event. Because basically what we find out is because the biologist is there, she sees that all the species, it's like these massive mutations to all the species that they find. And it's like, it's a different species, but it's the same core elements. So it's like she sees flowers that are on the same stem but of different species, and she's like, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, he's an alligator with like shark teeth, and it's like, okay, so basically
mushing and mutating together all these different everything, because it's down to like ideas. Yeah, is the weird part.
That's what makes it kind of heady. They could get down to the concept of it refracts everything in it. So it refracts the radio waves. That's why no one can hear them out. It refracts light. That's why it shimmers. It refracts DNA. It changes. Whatever this entity is, all it's there to do is change and manipulate and look at things, mimic them, then change them.
And one thing that's really interesting off the back of that is, and I'm probably getting too far ahead of things because we are still talking about performances, but like we'll talk about it later. But all the deaths of the characters, like no shit, they're all gonna die. At least 4 of the 5 are. They're all significant to their own demons. And I find that really fascinating. Like each of them has like it sort of almost completes their arc, the way that they die.
That's interesting because I'm curious about your analysis on that for the one that gets eaten by the bear thing.
Interesting. don't have the bear one, so I didn't write that one down. I must have missed that one, but I can tell you the other ones. So Anya, so Anya's, I think the one who lost a kid. Her death. Oh no, sorry, no, the
That
bear
is the
one.
bear one.
Sorry, the bear one. Her death highlights her impulsive and reckless nature. Her impatience and lack of caution led her to separate from the team and eventually get eaten by the bear. So like it's showing off like traits of her character and part of the demons of why she's in there.
Oh, I thought it was more like going to be like it represents the trauma of just because it happened so suddenly.
Well, let's talk about pacing then. What do you think about the pacing of this film? Because like I said, like it's slow and it's long, but like it wasn't bad slow and long.
How long is it? Literally how long is the movie?
Great question.
I'm going to look this up because I'm curious because it is a long movie, but
it takes its time to
feels
establish
longer than it is.
Absolutely. It takes its time to establish like this weird, I'm going to use the word eerie atmosphere within the shimmer and around it. It's like, I wouldn't go as far as enigmatic, but it's not far off. It's got that.
And it's also because of the characters that you can tell
Yeah.
they're a bit off.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts with they go through the shimmer and then suddenly they just wake up.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what? And they're like, well, holy shit, it's been
3
looks
days
like
or
it's been
something.
3 days.
Yeah,
We've gone through 3 food rations. Do you remember doing anything? They're like, no. So you're already like, okay, time's distorted.
Yeah.
They're distorted. They're kind of like slowly becoming less and less like logical and more paranoid.
Yeah. And the interesting thing I find about that is like not every one of the refractions or whatever the shimmer's doing to each of these people is something that repeats. So like I thought when you saw that, my initial thought when you saw that they lost 4 days, I thought what was kind of happening was they were resetting at night. So every time they all fell asleep, it was wiping their memories somehow, and then they would carry on. So I was confused about that, but what it was really showing was that it's random. So like the things it's doing, it's plucking an idea, it's plucking like a gene pool and splicing the stuff together. And some of the imagery in it is just insane.
Yeah. And by the way, it's a 1 hour and 55-minute movie.
Oh, so it's pretty tight.
It is. It's not like the shortest. It's not the longest.
It's not like
I think it's just it's a slow plotting movie with high octane scenes, but not a lot of dialogue.
Interesting.
I would say, don't you think?
I think it was a lot of exposition. There's a lot of biologists telling you exactly what's happening.
Well, what they think is happening.
I took a sample of my blood and I looked at it and it was something. I was like, all right, cool. That's them telling me another thing.
I don't know, because I think they show you that the whole time too before they tell it to you.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So what happens is then they're going through as they're in the shimmer and they're sort of like, they're exploring, they're finding all this crazy shit that's happening. Like one of my favorite scenes is when they find it's like an old village that got evacuated once the shimmer had started to expand. And a lot of the people had just turned into flowers.
Like, they were like branches that looked like humans. Kind of like what they have at Disneyland.
Wow, that's creepy.
How they shape them into like characters.
Yeah.
You know, like the bushes. It's like that. Except more like
intricate.
Structurally intricate.
Yeah.
Like the bones are like the branches.
Is that before or after the first person gets taken?
That's after the first person gets taken.
All right. So they effectively camp out in this abandoned military base, right?
I was going to say, we're talking performances. What about Oscar Isaac?
Oh, fascinating.
Because that's when you first get your first exposure to him. So
how he was.
So you've only seen him when he arrives back, which we know is like in the, not the past. What am I saying? Which we know is future Oscar Isaac. Yeah. But we get a cut because when they go into the shimmer,
technology works in there.
Yeah, it works in there. And they've basically recorded themselves.
Yeah, and
they've basically camped out at this old military base. And so our travelers go there and see the camped out remains, and they find a video.
Yeah,
and in the video you see some gnarly stuff. What do you see?
Oscar Isaac's like cutting open that dude, but like his intestines have almost like become alive.
There's like no context. You just see a video of Oscar Isaac with a knife looking at his mate like, are you ready to film this? And they cut open their fellow Marine friends, and his insides are just squirming like
the thing I find most interesting about that is like but one of them, the Dr. Ventress, goes and finds the place in the base where they were, and the guy who had been cut open had become this like crazy flower sculpture.
Last of Us.
Yeah,
it reminded me of that.
Super Last of Us. Actually, the music in this really reminded me of The Last of Us. It was very like melodic and slow and guitar plucky. But interestingly, that was the first time we were properly introduced to the Ouroboros symbol
the tattoo
on the arm. And my partner didn't notice this, but on that sculpture, it is on one of those guys, and that's repeated through the film.
No, it's on and it's next to his watch. I remember I saw it too.
And Natalie Portman ends up with it. One of the other ones ends up with it.
Yeah.
But that's so when they're camping out in this place, what happens is they hear a disturbance outside, and the first one of them to die is, our survey says, trauma from losing a child.
Yes, trauma from losing a child.
What happens is this thing that they think is a bear comes in and like grabs her and takes her away. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. It's like an evolved bear.
Yeah, a weirdly evolved bear.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about cinematography and world building a little bit then, because like this is a real deep ass shimmer.
It is a deep shimmer.
They were all sort of like within and looking around. So before we progress the story, then talk to me about the world building and cinematography.
I mean, the cinematography like is more how it's cut, and there's actually some pretty cool, I think, motifs that they investigate that are aligned to the themes. Like, did you notice how multiple times they zoom in on like the reflection of the water glass?
The water glass?
Like so there's a scene when like Oscar
you
Isaac,
mean the glass where
the glass of water where, and you see like their hands behind the glass of water, and it refracts their hands in this weird way that like puts it back. Like it's not the way it actually would refract.
Interesting. Like a visual representation of
the theme. So there's a lot of motifs and cinematography cuts like that. There's one at the beginning and one at the end.
There is, when they're sat and they're just trying to hold his hands at the table when he's changed.
And then there's one at the end where it's her having her water after she's changed, and they're interviewing her.
Interesting.
And they give her water. So it's like there's a duality to the theme there. So I love those kind of like heady cuts where, you know, what you're physically seeing represents also what like the plot's themes are. They're like physical representation of that. So those are cool. And then aesthetically, I mean, it's a really cool movie.
Fascinating.
Like anything. I mean, visually stimulating for sure.
Well, we're going to talk about the bear, I think, when we get to action, but that in itself is a fascinating idea. And let's talk about the croc shark then. It's like the idea that the shimmer is like mutating things from either ideas or from things it's come into contact with. Yeah. Like as part of the world building is just like fascinating. Like the design. If you can imagine it, or you can like, it's like that Rick and Morty thing. Like write down a bunch of shit, pick one up, pick another one up, and you can make it happen. Yeah. And the designs of it's incredible. Like the croc shark, the whole like, and some of the shots they use as well. Like with that, like that's very almost like Tarantino. Like, you know, like one of them's holding the croc's mouth open, but the camera's
in it
coming out, and it's a lot of dark space. Yeah. It's kind of like Natalie Portman's Lena, like, you know, taking samples and stuff. Really, really fascinating. And some of the stuff they have, like when they're looking at their fingers and like their fingerprints are moving and stuff like that.
Very shroomy. I'm telling you, wouldn't want to see this movie on shows.
Oh no, God no. But like, I think like that leads nicely into then talking a little bit more about the action and the bear and stuff. But like, let's progress the story then. So they find an abandoned house after they've had this horrific experience where they see the insides of this dude moving.
And so this is instantly, that was the first thing they found though. So they're freaked out at that point. Yeah. Like they were all like, oh, let's go investigate what this is. And now they're suddenly like, fuck, we're not, I think the reality of it hits them. Yeah. They're not coming back.
But they're also finding weird things about themselves, which are making them question their own realities and where they are, what they're doing. The losing 4 days would freak you out enough. Yeah. But they find this house, and what happens is, second off the rank, who is
paramedic,
the paramedic, who is Gina Rodriguez, and so she's freaking out, right? And she's made the connection between Natalie Portman's Lena and Kane, the soldier who came out, who's all messed up. Yeah. Who they'd seen in the video,
and by the way, we've
cutting
to say,
dude open,
and no one, and Natalie or Lena never told anyone in the group that the reason she's gone there is because her husband had died going in,
or come out
and different and about to die, I should say. And so she's kind of not said anything. And even when she saw in the video that he was the one that cut the guy open, so she's kind of kept this secret.
Yeah. So Anya then ties them all to chairs, the other three remainders, and is kind of interrogating them over who knew. So she thought Dr. Ventress knew. She obviously knew Lena knew, and she was like, "Hey, 35-year-old Tessa Thompson, did you know about this as well?" And she's like, I didn't. I'm a 19-year-old, I promise. And and then they hear the other friend who's obviously just died, Cass, calling from outside,
Like,
saying like, "Help me,
help me."
oh my god, that's creepy.
And the only one that actually saw that confirmed that she died was Lena.
Yes, correct.
So like in that moment, she's like, "You lied again. She's alive. We need help." And instead of getting help, what happens is this bear has learned to adopt or
crazy.
evolve to like basically.
Or had it mutated into it?
Mutated into it, but it seems like what it does, because if you look at you see the dead body, Lena actually does see it, and you see it with her, and it's not like it happens off screen.
Yeah,
you do see it, but these other characters weren't there. She and her vocal cord was gone, and it actually looks like the bear just like eats the vocal cords of its
or maybe while it was digesting it like somehow mutated into it.
I think that like it mutated into like this being something that it does to get prey, because it not only do you see it on the one body when you then proceed to see her, second lady get eaten. Yeah, Gina. and it goes straight for her vocal cords as well, and only eats that.
Yeah, interesting.
So it's this interesting, weird concept, I think, where they've created this bear that uses the voice of its killed to like.
That's hideous.
It's kind of tweaky. Anyway, but it's a good thing it does.
Great action scene though.
Yeah, it's a good thing it does, because there's
real tension.
The tension that it's built. She's like, "You lied. All of you lied." I'm like, people always said the shimmer. It's either they're killing themselves when they go in there, or something's killing them. Was it? Which one was it? And then so she's in this state of like anxiety, and then she hears that friend call, and she's like, "So you did lie? Like it's you? We're killing each other."
Paranoia's through the roof.
Yeah. Well, guess what? You're like in the chairs now, and I feel like I'm the one that's like going crazy. I see my skin moving, and I'm worried my organs are moving, and she's going insane, about to kill him, and the bear kills her.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it's a really cool scene,
and it's interesting because it's the first time that 35-year-old Tessa Thompson steps up and uses a gun. By the looks of it, like she's terrified, but she saves Lena.
Yeah,
and I think at this point she sort of gives herself. There's like a moment of realization that she's not. This isn't for her. Like which she can't deal with this.
Yeah,
which is what happens when we talked a moment ago about the flower people. She gives herself over to being a flower. She just allows herself.
So yeah, the next morning they're all like gonna push on, and she's kind of like, Vanessa wants to just like find this thing for herself. You want to fight it. I don't want either of those things. And she's like, I want something different. And then it's this cool, like, speaking of cinematography, it's this cool cut scene where you like see her going through the bushes. You can't quite see where she's gone.
It's
and
like
then
a fairy tale.
Yeah. Then you like emerge out of the bush, like Lena's looking for her, and all she can see is a sea of these people that have turned into trees, and she just doesn't know which one was her friend.
Should we bring back the game of what's the significance of that death? What's the significance of that death?
On this episode of Why Did They Die?
Josie's death highlights her tendency towards self-isolation and her desire to escape from her pain. You know that she's got the big old like cuts on her wrist from. It's interesting. She doesn't, like they highlight in the film, like they don't think she's trying to kill herself, but she's trying to feel more alive, which is bloody fascinating. But she like willingly embraces the mutation. Yeah. She like lets it take herself over, and by choosing to merge with it, she's effectively what am I trying to say here? She's, rather than confronting her personal struggles, she lets it take her over. I find that fascinating. She'd rather be peacefully taken over by this shimmer than actually have to face the things she's doing and going through.
Or accept that it's a part of her and not fight it.
Yeah.
Like there's many interpretations. Like maybe, I guess my point is, to your analysis, you said, why did they force it to be like all these random people? They could have just had it all be military people with their own little backstories. To your point, it is an interesting choice that they did that.
I think it's.
I do like though that it correlates.
It works for the plot, and I think it's very convenient, right?
Well, I guess they didn't need to make it that way. They could have all been military, but that would have been a nice little nitpick that you did in the writing room for people like you that nitpick things to stop other people like you from not liking the movie.
Of course. Oh, well, yeah, fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. I think the action in this is well paced as well. Yeah. I think it's a really clever crescendo to a lot of the tension it builds. I think they survey the expectations, especially with things like the bear. You go like, oh my god, like Cass is alive. Like we've just seen her dead. Like what's happening? Is it a refraction?
Because you're so confused about the rules.
You're as confused as they are.
Yeah, you're like, I don't get it. Well, maybe she is alive. Like, yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking of action, before we move on to CGI, then why don't we talk about what the next step of this is then? So Ventress and Lena are the final two remaining, and what they do is Ventress effectively gives Lena like an ultimatum, like, we need to go. I want to get to the center of this. I want to find out what's happening here. And she gets to the lighthouse before Lena does.
Yes.
And Lena finds her like in this weird catacomb under the lighthouse. It's very
Fucking
weird.
Feeling herself, yeah.
Very odd. But she's sort of like merging with the whatever
It
the
looked like
alien
her
being
face
is
was
at that
all
point.
messed up at one
when
point.
she went in there,
Is she?
did.
Is it? Yeah.
I wonder if that's a case of like she is merging with it. She's becoming part of it.
But then it like cuts back and her face is normal.
I think that's to make Lena feel comfortable when she comes in. But then she like flips out and like goes full sky beam.
Yeah.
She's another sky beam. There's always a sky beam.
I did think the sky beam was a bit much.
I think that was her giving into it. Well, let's finish up the significance of that death then.
Yeah.
On this episode, let's finish up. So Ventress, her death reflects her unyielding pursuit of knowledge and her acceptance of the shimmer's transformational power. She willingly enters the lighthouse, fully aware of its danger, and driven by a curiosity and desire of enlightenment. So her death is around her unwillingness to give up on her pursuit of whatever she's doing, which is kind of fascinating in itself. But it's then the shimmer merges with a drop of Natalie Portman's blood.
That was weird.
Which was weird. But this is what I was talking about before. I really liked the ending action scene, which was this odd, almost like intimate fight between Lena and a version of herself that the shimmer had started to create.
Yep.
And they were like matching each other.
It's like a dance.
And it was learning from her. Yeah, it was really very Black Swan.
Yeah, it was. Speaking of Natalie,
exactly.
It was super weird. And I remember the first time I watched it, I was kind of put off because I wasn't expecting it. But then I kind of like after this time, I liked it more.
I really liked that scene, especially. So the interesting part is, and sorry, we skipped this. Interesting part is just before that, you'd seen that a version of her husband Kane had effectively murdered himself in the lighthouse with a flash grenade.
Which also makes her realize the Kane that she met was
a different
not
Kane.
the right Kane.
Yeah.
And I guess this is like, can we enter, well, a little safe theory corner for later, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. But I have a theory.
Oh, please.
Okay.
Let's wait. Let's
save it after.
Okay. Because so what happens is then she has this intimate balletic dance fight with herself, and she escapes by... Cause it's constantly learning by teaching it what a grenade is effectively.
Yeah.
And it dies the same. Its death in a similar way to Kane's sort of brings down the whole shimmer around them.
It does. Yeah.
What do you think about the CGI in that scene?
I thought it was cool.
I really liked the CGI
really
in that
cool.
scene.
It was very unique and like Crystal Castle-y and cool.
Yeah, when it first started, I thought it was a bit like, oh, this is very Terminator 2. Like, it's a little bit 1990s, but I think it was supposed to be, because the movements of the shimmer version of Lena were kind of stunted, almost like it was learning.
Yeah.
It could match her, but it had to... Yeah, exactly. And that was creepy as hell.
Yeah, it was.
So strange.
It was. It was super cool, though. And I guess to, like, your point, like, what do you think they're trying to say with that? Because I think this is like a pinnacle part of the movie, right? We're now at the end.
Yeah.
Really, post this, you just see her... teach it, as you said, to
well, the big ending is the ambiguous part, the big like twist of the movie. It's fascinating. So what happens is she gets we'll quickly finish then. So she gets out of the shimmer. She's the second person to do it, and then you realign with the time she's in with Wong, and they're having like this interrogation,
which has been happening throughout the whole movie. And they finish it up, and she's finally allowed to see her husband, and effectively she says to Kane like, "You're not my husband, are you?" Like, she's seen her husband kill himself. She knows this is a shimmer version. Yeah. And he says, "I don't think so." And then her response is effectively, she doesn't respond at all. She just hugs him.
After he directly says to you, "Are you Lena?" She just hugs him. Yeah. But the final scene of the movie is you see her eyes flash with the shimmer. So the question that you ask is around the two parts, like the shimmer version, her is, what's the significance? The way I see it is, this is a splitting of her personality, effectively. I feel like she's left a part of herself in the shimmer, a part that she can't get back now.
She's changed.
And some of the shimmer has gone with her.
Yeah, she's changed. It has changed her.
So do you think the shimmer lives on in them?
I think the shimmer definitely in Kane.
Definitely in Kane. Her too, I think. I think she was in there long enough.
Yeah, definitely in Kane.
It's almost like the Lord of the Rings thing, right? Like, once you've had the ring for a while, you can't
Yeah.
get that stank off you. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
that's the ghetto version, the version that didn't quite make it into the
stank.
final film.
The stanky rang.
Look, it's a really interesting psychoanalysis of the human condition, is what I say.
Yeah, it's a lot about like self-discovery
Yeah.
and self-destruction and how you can find self-discovery through self-destruction and
Yeah, the nuances, ideas laid over some like horror themes,
yeah.
like just like really nicely done. And this is me flip-flopping again. Like
I think you like this movie. I think you just weren't in the headspace to watch it last night.
maybe not,
Yeah.
maybe not. And I think at the same time, I find it really hard to write about. Like we've talked a lot about it, but I'm really at the edges now. I'm like, I don't know what unless we got further into talking about the shimmer and its effects and going real deep on that and like the sort of the real world implications of that, what that would mean for your psyche. Like I don't have any. The story, the plot of this film is pretty thin.
Well, if you really want to break it down, there's an extraterrestrial shimmer that refracts
Extraterrestrial shimmer.
extraterrestrial. There's an extraterrestrial
Shimmer
entity,
Yep.
shimmer, supernatural thing that is taking over the Earth slowly. We need to fix it. We go in. We find out it refracts DNA. We face our fears.
Yes.
We face our own
Some
self-destructive
face their fears,
tendencies.
yeah.
Yes, some do. In order to be reborn. And in a way, in doing this, find the way to actually defeat the shimmer and leave, but bring part of it with us.
Yes.
Pretty much the plot.
Yes. All right. We'll talk about tones and themes then. What do you reckon? What do you reckon tones and themes?
I think it's a lot about like the malleability of like identity and how like you can, very quickly think you're like one thing and one like little part or one little trauma can like totally rock your being and your ability to
rock my world.
like, like every now and again, like I think I'm really good at my job, but someone will say one thing and you just totally can,
Completely.
Have your whole identity of that part of you in shambles for a bit. And that,
Personal demons.
yeah.
Things like that. I've got like the unknown and the unknowable. The things that the shimmer does to them, and it's more that creeping sense. It's more that like prickle on the back of your neck. You know what I mean? That's what this film does really well without really knowing it. Like I love that conspiracy theory about like why are we so scared of mannequins? Why are we so scared of things that look like humans? Why does the uncanny valley freak us out so much? Because in our history, there was something that looked remarkably like us, that was a predator that was stronger and better than us, that we somehow managed to escape. But it's one of those built-in things, like a fear of the woods or a fear of the deep ocean. Like it's built in for a reason. It's not like, you know what I mean? And it's that I like about this film.
Yeah, I like it too. I think the only other theme I'd say is like maybe like nature, and it's beautiful and terrible.
Metaphors.
Right? Yeah. Self-discovery, like destruction can like addiction, like self-discovery is only kind of done through destruction to the
So
point
many
where-
things and stuff still.
Yeah, for
Well, let's
sure.
talk about the 3 best and 3 worst. And what we like to do is we like to give you 3 reasons, usually non-spoilers, but as it's an old film, we'll do 3 best and 3 worst, full spoilers, 3 reasons why you might want to watch the film, and 3 reasons why you might not.
Creatures for me. I think the art design
Yeah,
as well and the visuals, and then really just the tension build. I just like all 3 of those things. My creatures, my art design, and visual, like visually stunning with the cinematography, and then the old tension build through the whole movie.
I clearly wrote this in the wrong mindset because when you said the art behind a lot of the things, I just wrote down the flower people, but what I mean is that.
Yeah, the art
That's
design.
what I mean.
At the end of the day, it's hard to be as
It was like 11
insightful.
o'clock last night. I was still writing notes. I was like, I don't want to be doing this.
Yeah, art people.
I put
Flower people.
I put the whole bear thing. I thought the bear was fascinating. And when you finally saw it as well,
creepy looking.
I wonder if that had any like animatronics behind it or if it was full CGI.
It seemed like CGI. There's a couple parts that looked maybe like it, but I think it was dark.
The bit where it's like sniffing next
I
to
think
them.
it was
Like,
CGI.
part of me feels like I saw something like a YouTube video that was like the animatronic thing, but maybe not. Maybe I just made that up. But like that'd be cool. And the final one was I really like the ambiguity of the film.
Yep.
And I think that is one of the core themes of it.
It is meant to be ambiguous, If I had to pick what I didn't like, I'd say
tell
not
me
enough
what.
Oscar Isaac.
I've said not enough Wong.
So
we both went for MCU
there wasn't
characters.
enough. I do think that there's like you could have added one more element to what we got 2 basically cutbacks to Oscar Isaac. One where we see him acting crazy, cutting someone open. 2 where we see him literally. I think realize that the only way to beat this thing is to kill himself, to teach it, because it mimics, to teach it something, so that then the next time someone does it, it willingly takes the grenade and does it because it matches what he did.
Wow.
So I thought they could have given us a little more carrot, because that's like me hypothesizing, like where they really actually pushed us that way, or gave us one more interaction where he kind of had a revelation of what was happening, because it kind of seems like a pretty big jump to go from cutting someone's open to figuring that out.
How did he learn that? How did he learn that it was mimicking?
So that was my worst.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had one worst?
So that was my second one, is like, hey, not enough Oscar Isaac. And second one was, you didn't really it was kind of a missed opportunity with that previous team to go explore the story more and kind of point it in a direction. Without like making it less ambiguous. You could still make it ambiguous.
Yeah, I think you could.
Because that just gives it a bit more of a plot to like drive the ambiguity. You know what I mean?
And it almost gives them like things to find along the way.
Yeah, and it doesn't really change the fact that none of us actually know what the movie means.
Well, none of us have any fucking idea.
Yeah, I can't handle the fact that two people, like the trope that like there's always a couple or a daughter and a dad that are both experts on this phenomenon and are like brought into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that's just too much of a coincidence.
Yeah.
It's like in Interstellar where it's like, he's the last astronaut and his daughter's the smartest woman in the world. It's like, it wouldn't work that way.
Yeah, I get.
There'd be some other guy that was the smartest guy.
I see where you're coming from with this. There's always, I mean, there has to be some plot contrivance somewhere, right?
Yeah, I guess find a better way to force her into it is my point.
Oh yeah. Well, I said not enough Wong.
Don't cut that.
Which is a weird thing to say straight after we said that. I said not enough Wong. I said I've told you both of these. I didn't love the infidelity angle. It kind of felt weird and forced, and learning about it felt even weirder. And it's supposed to. It changed how I viewed those characters as I went through. Just didn't love it. I thought you could have had something else that was her reason for going in. And the fact that each of the characters in this crew were broken, like I say, we talked about it, like it felt shoehorned in, like, hey, let's make all, like, why?
You didn't like the concept that like
the concept, I felt like it could have been handled differently.
No, I mean, sorry for her infidelity, where it's like an impulse is kind of like a mutation. Like they're obviously making like some kind of parallel there. Like, interesting. Like an impulse isn't who we are; it's an impulse, but we act on them sometimes. The same way mutations aren't like they're not like the core of our DNA, but they create us and impact us in meaningful ways sometimes. I thought there was like a parallel there, and I kind of liked it. And I liked it because it was like she's going and investigating why the fuck she did this.
Yeah. Okay.
Why did she do this? Like why would
she impulsive?
Why would she impulsive? And it also mimics like maybe that's the reason why he was so self-destructive, is because he knew about the affair.
Well, I think that's kind of the implication. I think the implication is that because he found out about it, that's why he was so willing to take on this probably suicidal mission, right? Yeah. And you're almost probably right. And perhaps it was just the watch of it I had, like watching it in the sequence it is, and we talked about this before, the sequence that it was laid out to us in.
By design,
yeah. Yeah, by design it was confusing, obviously, but like the infidelity piece, it didn't entirely add up at the time of watching it. Second watch was probably had a lot more from it, but I'm probably never going to see this film again.
For me, it was kind of like I liked the idea. I was like, okay, well, like I'm getting us to see this very madly in love couple. I'm getting to see like this other side. It's like, well, why would she do this? And it's an investigation into that. But I think the problem I have with it is doesn't really give an answer. Maybe. Yeah, look, you know what I mean?
Look, the more you're talking, the more I'm agreeing with you. I just think that when I was sitting through it for the very first time, the sequencing of it really threw that out.
No, I'm trying to understand like why, and I think it's because it's like it doesn't really put a bow on it because you don't get a scene with them where they have like this cathartic moment, or
and that's the ambiguity point, right? Like that, and it's kind of, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with the film ending ambiguously. Like we both love Inception. That's kind of the point of that being our 100th episode. That's all good to me. I just didn't. While it was happening, it just didn't resonate with me, and I can't back that up with factual evidence, like I say. DL, what we like to do now is we like to decide, pick for you guys on the internet whether this is better or worse than Aquaman 2018. Now, the reason we do this is because we couldn't think of a good rating system, to be quite frank with you, and the internet being as polarizing as it is, we basically said, what's the most average movie we can think of? Is it better than average or worse than average? DL, Is this better than Aquaman 2018 and why?
I think it's much better than 2018's Aquaman. Largely just because it's a vibey, heady movie.
It's very you.
And it's got Natalie Portman in it.
Very
My favorite,
Did love Natalie Portman in this. Really
she's
fun.
good in general.
Yeah. She was. I think she was a bit tainted by those Star Wars films. She's way better than a lot
but
of
she's
people
been in
give
a
her
lot
credit
of
for.
stuff since.
I get that. But that's the easy fallback, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't really her that was the worst. It was Anakin that was worse.
He didn't like sand.
Yeah, that's like, who writes that?
Oh, wow, it's so bad, isn't
Anyway,
it?
was that during a writer's strike?
I mean, you think so? I don't think George Lucas ever strikes. I actually said I thought it was worse than Aquaman 2018.
Oh,
because on the first viewing...
Oh, God, here we go.
I'm just going to say on the first viewing, it just didn't throw me. And because I'm flip-flopping between being really intrigued by its themes and its motifs to being like, yeah, I was a bit bored by the end. Like, I can't say I was ever like that in Aquaman. In Aquaman, all the way through, I was like, that's a big, dumb action scene. I recognize that thing.
Fair enough.
You know?
I don't really agree, but I can't.
It probably
argue.
is better than Aquaman 2018, but like first viewing didn't catch me. Like the ambiguous ending though.
Yeah.
DL, before we wrap up then, do you want some trivia? True or false?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do this. Oscar Isaac, DL, true or false?
Yes.
Filmed this movie. All right. Filmed this movie and Star Wars Episode 8 at the same time in adjacent studios. Is that true or is that false?
That feels like it would probably be hard to do. False.
Well, I tried to trick you, but I got it wrong, even though I said it right. I tried to say I thought it was episode 7. It's not. It's actually episode 8, The Last Jedi from 2018.
So he did do it.
And they were on adjacent studio lots. So effectively, he had the same trailer for both films and would often film scenes for both movies on the same day.
No wonder he looked so lost.
No wonder he
The
looked
movie
so
had no
haggard.
plot, yeah.
Neither movie had a proper plot
yeah.
or any real reason for him. True or false, DL? Oh, bloody hell. I realized I've ruined this for myself already. I was going to say, true or false, DL? Director Alex Garland decided not to reread the novel of Annihilation. Is that true or is that false?
That is true.
He did. Instead, he decided to adapt it like it were a dream of the book.
That's probably good because it's a dream of a read. It's a dream of a read. I heard the book is very different. Like
Yeah,
in
me
the
too.
sense that
So
like
different.
even the way it's executed, like you get like dialogue, like you get like journal entries, and she's like, it's like an unreliable narrator kind of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
And the lighthouse at the end is apparently very different. That's all changed. Okay, final trivia, true or false, DL. 3 of the principal actors in this film have featured in Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. Is that true or is that false?
3 of the actors?
Correcto.
1, 2. Oh.
Think about it. You know this.
Is it the doctor?
Come on, you know this.
Psychiatrist? Oh, duh. 3. Yeah, true.
That's 4.
Who's 4?
It's 4 DL. We've got Natalie Portman as Jane Foster, Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie. We've got Oscar Isaac.
Oh, Tessa Thompson's in it?
Yeah. We've talked about this. She's 18, but she's actually 30. We've got Oscar Isaac, who plays Moon Knight, and we also have Benedict Wong, who plays Wong.
I didn't realize I didn't realize she played the Valkyrie. I thought that was a different actress.
There you go. Well, I know. She's so
She
different.
looks very different than
very
Valkyrie.
different. Yeah, well, she's trying to be 19 in this. Of course she is. Ultimately, like, I think this is probably a movie for a rewatch. I think on a rewatch, you get so much more out of it, and I completely agree with you on that front.
I would agree.
DL, would you like some correspondence?
I would
this
love
week?
some because I don't bring nothing to the
Let's
table.
bring that energy, my man.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a couple of bits. I'm going to bring you back a YouTube comment. We've had some fun YouTube comments recently.
Okay, I love
I'm going to
that.
bring you one of them. I'll bring you that first because we've got a couple of other good bits. MJ, on one of my videos, something about the MCU clearly says, the biggest issue with the MCU right now is its continuity. This was the video where I talked about the humor in the MCU and lamp shading. The thing that was the biggest strength in the first saga was the continuity, and they've gone away with all of it. It doesn't make sense. Even in creating continuity, do not have to stick close to the overarching script, but there still needs to be a sense that it's still leading somewhere. DL, 1, do you understand that? And 2, do you agree with that?
I do agree that it doesn't have continuity. It doesn't feel like there's natural links.
I can't tell if they're just in like a throw in stuff at the wall type thing. They're a bit like, hey, the first stuff's all finished. None of that's none of that matters anymore. Let's see what people like. And that's what they're kind of doing. Like, let's see what other people like. But if that was what at the same time, if that's what they were doing, like, why have they got so many plans for like big Avengers team ups? You know what I mean?
I'm sure they're doing. I think that maybe that's part of it. Yeah, you know what? It does feel like they have this big through line that they know they want to do, but nothing else is tied. Like they just can't find a way to tie things to it.
Yeah,
it does feel. It feels like they have this thing, and they're like, why don't you just make that thing?
Yeah,
and they're like, no, because we need 4 phases. But it's like
other things.
Really, we only need 4 movies, and that could be like a phase.
Give us 4 good movies.
Yeah,
it's fine. I mean, that's what they did initially.
They won't.
Well, yes, anyway, on the MCU trail, we got reactions to Guardians of the Galaxy.
We did.
We got so many people saying they loved it. We really appreciate you guys letting us know. By the way, if you want to send us stuff, send us it at Podcast Assemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. You can find us all there. Friend of the show, Andy, says, they went to see Guardians of the Galaxy last night. I thought it was only okay.
Interesting.
Rocket's backstory is particularly good and also heartbreaking, but I just didn't enjoy it as much as I hoped I would. I think it's a bit of Marvel fatigue coming on right now, to be honest. What did we think? Well, for me, it was the opposite. This was what really reinvigorated my expectations and hopes for the coming movies.
I just think it's it was a movie that realized you got to get the small moments right for me to care about the big ones. Yeah, which is like,
and that's what I was talking about before. Like, I wonder if, having this movie come out now is the perfect time, because the likes of Kevin Feige, who know writer strikes around the corner, he might go away and go, we got to really work on this.
But doesn't he need the writers to do that?
All I mean is he can put the plans in place for them to work on things that are going to be.
I hope, but like that seems to me like writers' jobs, like architecting overarching interconnected plots.
Okay, well, take a step back then. How about they removed? Say they've got 10 movies, they made it 6 movies, and they gave the writers more time to take their time with it, do a better job, be on set like we talked about.
Yeah. And to be honest, they're probably still writing. They're just not using they're not giving it to anyone.
Possibly. Yeah. I like that. I like that people have got different takes on this. Friend of the show, Leone, messaged in and said he bloody loved it. He said definitely the better of the most recent Marvel releases in this phase. He reckons that Spider-Man and this one were the only ones he's actually liked since Endgame. Wow, that's cold.
I think I liked Doctor Strange, but those 3.
He did pose you a question, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
He said, who do you think is going to direct the Star-Lord movie?
I have no idea. Who do directors even matter anymore in the MCU?
In the MCU, well,
like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not a thing I look at.
I do know exactly what you mean. I would say a lot less so, because a lot of it's already scripted and
that's my
basically
point.
created. But you look at the likes of things like you mentioned, Doctor Strange, stuff like that, when they're bringing in like
Sam Raimi had his own take. Like, yeah, that was a.
But we just watched a James Gunn movie where it was literally all him.
Yeah, but he obviously got some license there.
Yeah, of course.
Like, because it was kind of isolated. It was a bow. It was like.
But if Marvel's seeing that and going, oh well, this works. Give him that. I reckon this is who I think should do it. Do you know Lord and Miller? So Lord and Miller are the guys who did like the Lego movie. They did 2122 Jump Street. They did Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I'm in.
I think they should do it. Like, they've got the humor for it. They get the comics. Like, hit us up, guys.
Wow.
We can tell you who to do these movies.
Yeah, we will, and we shall.
Well, thank you for sticking with it, guys. DL, do you want to wrap up the show?
I would love to wrap it up. Wrap it up.
Wrap it up, baby.
I would love to wrap it up. Thank you guys all for listening. Please do share the pod. Pass it on. 5
Pass
star.
the pod, guys. We love it when you do.
Give us some love. Until next time, Tommy later, skaters.
Tally ho!